Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to everyone in Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and every part, every nook and cranny that receives our signal from our 100,000 watt transmitter that goes into those nooks and crannies to your radio. Folks, we are going to have a great show for you. Of course, we cannot forget to welcome our international listeners via the magic of the internet. Yes, the internet, also known as ARPANET. And I start with this spiel every morning. The ARPANET created by we the people. Your tax dollars at work, not the billionaires that were able to capture those services, those products after you created it, and they then profited from it. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show. Man, last night, again, this is going to be a tough week because the convention is on, and I spent a hell of a lot of time taping it, watching it, cutting it, all that good stuff. Anyway, we're going to get busy. But before we get there, let me throw it to the geniuses in the studio. Buenos dias, mis hermanos. ¿Cómo están? Good morning, my brothers. How are you doing?
Good morning. It was pretty rough getting out of that cranny this morning, but I managed to make it and get on into work. So, and good morning to Perth, Australia. Why not?
Why not?
And we are in Fund Drive, Egberto. We're about halfway through, is it? I think we're about halfway through.
Wait, before we get busy, we need to hear from the one and only Jack Van Bever, and let's see if he's going to do what he likes to do, and that is tease my brain.
Good morning. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, brother. Talk to me.
Yeah, I think I'll tease your brain a little bit. Kamala Harris supports a tax on billionaire class and corporations. This would signal a change to confront fascism. We simply cannot allow our billionaire corporate class to use war as a tool for profit and subjugate the people and tax them for corporate welfare and corporate subsidies. Can't do it.
I love it. You know why I love it too? It's sort of the subject that I am intending to start with. I first was going to start with the DNC. Hey, the DNC, watching that stuff, I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it because I think last night was a show. I mean, it was music, it was jamming, it was right up the right tonality, everything. But I want to be a little bit serious before we get into a lot of the stuff that was on the DNC. And by the way, the phone screener is not up. Just I probably know already, but just want to let you know. All right, look, an economist. Go ahead.
Oh, that was nothing.
Oh, okay. An Economist, title of an article that I want to kind of expand on. Let's go. Top economist applauds as Harris signals support for Billionaires Tax. First of all, I can already see a whole lot of folks out there trying to protect the billionaire tax. Oh, don't tax the billionaires. Don't tax the billionaires. Of course, the billionaires tax everybody else, right? Because when they pay for our toll roads, for the fees, when they've, all the things that they do for a fee, they call it profit. I call it something else. But when they do that, we complain, but we kind of don't know who's charging it. Anyway, the idea that billionaires who keep more of their monies in capital instruments, whether that be collars, whether that be stocks, whether that be, all kind of these instruments that they create that don't get taxed. But we, the people, we have instruments too that we have. Your car, that's an asset that you have. Your home, that's an asset that you have. And, many other little things, nobody complains when every single year you have to go give we the people, Uncle Sam, the government, a tax dollar. I have property tax on my home every year. I got to pay several $1,000s for my home. That's out of my pocket into the coffers of state government to pay for schools, roads, all that good stuff. And I have no problem with that. Likewise, if you have a car, for those who are renting, you may say, well, I don't really have that bill. You do, but I'll explain that a little bit later. You got a car every single year. You go and you send that to the DMV if you're in Texas, or whether you're in Michigan or elsewhere. You pay a tax on your wealth, on your capital. Your home is your capital. Your car is your capital, even also via the depreciating capital. Your home is an appreciating capital, and that's in the aggregate. You pay a tax on that. But if you happen to be a billionaire, a special person who has stocks, who has billions of dollars in stocks, you can convert your money into that kind of capital and pay zero taxes on it. Because remember, anybody who owns stocks, as long as there's this stuff called realization, right? In other words, if you have a stock that you buy in Microsoft or Exxon or whatever, your tax, your income, the value of that isn't realized until you sell it for cash. All of these things are gimmicks for the rich, but we don't see it like that. We see it as the standard, right? And people say, well, look, I have stocks in my 401k or in my retirement to the stocks. So all the things that you do, the stocks affects me too. Well, that's partially true. But when you look at the distribution of assets that are not realized until sold, which their tax value is not realized until sold, you realize that 1% of the people own like 30, 40. I don't have the breakdown right now, but they own so much more of that stock than you do that none of this stuff really affects them, but it affects you. So all these billionaires, they don't keep cash. They don't get income. They keep all their monies in capital. And when they need income, you know how they get it? These, I don't want to call them by a bad name, but you know what a lot of these guys do? They don't even sell some of their stocks because that income would be realized and taxable. And by the way, when it is taxed at a lower rate than the person who gets up every day and go to work. You see that those people at the grocery stores in the morning trying to get to work. You see those people at the bus stop. You see all those cars in the traffic jam on the freeways trying to get to work. All those people pay more taxes on their income than the billionaire. All right. So now that capital that they have, when it's time for them to need $1 million to go to Paris for the Olympics and eat caviar on the Champs-Élysées and all that kind of stuff, they don't even need to get cash. They go ahead and say, hey, bank, loan me some money. It is backed by the stock in my account. And by the way, I won't even ever pay you back for that money because, later on, it's backed by the stock. So therefore, you get to use a lot of income without ever paying taxes. There are also insurance policies you can buy because the way the tax laws are written, monies coming from certain types of insurance policies are non-taxable. So it always turns out that we, the people in the middle class, we, the people in the working class, pay the taxes. And then we have a whole lot of regular working class people who somehow think they should be out there defending the billionaires that pay not the fair share of their taxes. So you will have somebody call me and say, well, Bill Gates, he paid about $500 million in taxes last year. That's a lot more than everybody else. Yeah, but commensurate with the amount of money he extracts from society, that's minimal. If you want to know somebody who's a billionaire that actually has a heart and understands that, speak to Mark Cuban, former owner of the Dallas Mavericks and billionaire, who understands that a lot of what he got was just simply the capitalist system giving him the right kind of hand. Folks, one of the things we try to do here is point the truth out and not the fallacies that they would tell you, the things that they would try to tell you, you're not worth it, or somehow you're a user, or somehow you're a parasite, or people that are on food stamps, even as they work, somehow are, doing something wrong. Folks, we have a corrupt economic system, a system that doesn't reward those who work the most, a system that is not a meritocracy. Everybody wants to believe the fallacy that we are a meritocracy. Somehow, if you are good at what you do, you will always succeed. I know a hell of a lot of damn good engineers that are starving right now, because it has very little. Success has little to do with merit in this country. It has a semblance of merit on the facade. There's merit, but the people who excel are not the ones who know the most or do the most. And that's not a question. That is not really up for question. We can talk about that some more, but that has how it been since our inception. Anyway, John is on line number 1. Come on in, Johnny.
There you go. I just heard it. So, Egberto, I heard your reference to taxation and the implication about our policy, what we value, what we prioritize in our country, which reminded me of a reaction from one of our right-wing callers named Barry, who I was unable to address yesterday because the other guys on the other show, they zip through like they've got a problem with their bowels loose. So, if you're listening, I've got a question for you. Your immediate reaction, of course, is going to be when Kamala Harris talks about wanting to provide down payments, I think she said, for first-time home buyers, people who are underwater right now financially.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The immediate reaction was, how are we going to pay for it? That's the thing. They always do that. But Barry, how come I don't recall you ever saying, how is Donald Trump going to pay for this crazy tax giveaway to the ultra wealthy? I never hear you or Brian talk about that. You guys immediately respond when a Democrat talks about using government monies, taxpayer monies that we pay for things that benefit us directly. All of a sudden you question, how are we going to pay for it? So here's my answer to you. There's a book by Morris Pearl, Pearl, Morris Pearl and Erica Payne, Payne, and what they refer to themselves as the Patriotic Millionaires.
The Patriotic Millionaires, yeah. I love it. I've interviewed that guy 5 times.
Tax the rich, how lies, loopholes, and lobbyists make the rich even richer. And it's published by thenewpress.com. Barry? So, get a copy of that, go through that, and then call me back and tell me how wrong I am. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Johnny. Let me tell you something that people, first of all, before you go, Johnny, I want people to already left. I want to explain something because they always talk about how you're going to pay for it, etc., right? That is complete crap, and I'm going to explain why. But by the way, Morris Pearl, I've interviewed him. I have several of us interviewed at Miami. I need to pull one up sometime and play it. Morris Pearl is a millionaire. His father was into, I think, the garment business, and then they got into groceries or what. I don't remember what he does, but he's a millionaire, and he formed a group called the Patriotic Millionaires. And these are guys that want to pay their fair share in taxes. They think that the tax system is there to benefit them and they don't want any part of it. And they wish more millionaires would do so. And it would actually make for a better economy, because an economy works better if the money is placed into the hands of those who circulate the money. That's how it is. Period. Full stop. So in several of his interviews, he would come on the show and he would say, the reason why I am saying this is not that I want to just give my money away. It's because I need to be a part of the system. These are honest guys, that the person that Johnny spoke about. But when they talk about pay for it, here's a kicker. They never ask about how we're going to pay for all those bombs we're sending over to the IDF in Israel. They never ask about how we're going to pay for the bombs we're sending to Ukraine, right? They never do, because there's one thing that all these guys know, and it's how you do the books. Let me give an example. The way they wrote up the bill for Ukraine, if I recall, they made it that it was a loan to Ukraine, right? So therefore, if it's a loan to Ukraine, the way it's placed on the ledger is that isn't money that America has spent, right? Because if for those of you who know accounting, that is still an asset that you own, even if it's gone. Because again, on one side of the balance sheet, it is just a piece of Ukraine that you own, because they owe you, right? Finance, but governmental finance is an interesting thing, especially if you have this thing called sovereign currency. And America is one of the countries with sovereign currencies. What does that mean? Our money is dependent on nothing. It's only dependent on the faith that people have that America will be able to give them that piece of dollar whenever they ask for it. You know, in Panama, we have money also. It's called the Balboa. But the Balboa is directly correlated with $1. So one Balboa is $1. And what that means is if the dollar depreciates, the Balboa depreciates. Everything is in correlation. But here's the thing. When it comes to Americans' dollar, we can print as much as we want, or we can take as much as we want off of the market. And the only thing that makes you want to have more money or less money is whether you have the products and services for the money to buy. And if you have enough products and services for the money to buy, you can print ad nauseum. You know who knew that? Cheney, the former vice president. And he told Brother Bush, deficits don't matter. And he was right. It's not deficits that matter. What matter is whether you have a balance of what people want and what you can produce. It's a hard thing after we've been indoctrinated into how do you pay for it, or you have to keep your credit card in balance, or you have to be able to pay. The debt that the government owns look nothing like your credit card. They're completely different. But you know what I kind of forgot, and it's 21 after? We're in fund drive, and Sandy's probably saying, Egberto, shut the hell up, and let's start asking people for the contributions that we need to make. So before I pass it on to Sandy, I'm going to say this. Folks, I always tell you, even in fund drive, we'll be giving you a full show. But we also ask you kindly, respectfully to do your part. And please call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. There are many offers that we have, but what I'd like to ask you, give any contribution you want. Call 713-526-5738, hit extension number 1, and give whatever you can. What I'd like to ask you, if you can you do like a coffee a month or 2 coffees a month? That is like $5 a month or $10 a month, or even maybe $15 or $20 a month. And we're looking for these sustainers because they're matched by another $50 for anybody that contributes. Right now, I'm at a big donut at a 0. I have made nothing so far this morning. And you can change that. Be the first. Please be the first. Be the second. Be the third. We need a lot of them this morning to make up for the few days that I did make my quota. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. On the scroll down, be sure to save Politics Done Right so they know it's tagged to this program. It goes to the KPFT, not to me. And likewise, say it's for Politics Done Right. The t-shirt, $100. Guess what? You can pay that over time as well. Or Coffee with Egberto. I'll drive any part of Houston to meet you. $250. I saw that. I think somebody yesterday. I think Patrick did that yesterday. You just have to call and set it up with Robin when we meet. Let's go to Donald. Donald, línea número 1. ¿Cómo estás, mi hermano?
Oh, bien, bien. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am
like
doing fine.
Hot plate. I love to see the dancing chicken on the hot plate. I love Fun Drive. Just to watch you dance around. But it is hilarious. Okay, but one thing is true. When you look at music, it calms the savage beast. You never put anything behind what created the music because it is in our DNA, every person. And what you like is your deal. But that's one thing about KPFT. You listen to the talk, stay for the music, because you need to hear other people's viewpoints and get out of the box and don't let your mind be created, because music will free your mind, because it doesn't matter. Once it's on paper, once it's recorded, and once you hear it, it doesn't matter who created it. It's the people that start passing judgment on the creator and do not look at the creation. And with Nuri, I mean, yeah, he talked funny, but he plays some good music. And if you look at his roots, you can see how that music touched him, because he's got a beautiful story. And that's all I got to say. But keep on dancing. We're going to play it up because you got money.
Donald, why are you doing this to me, man? Hey, before you go, Donald, I don't know if you guys understand what Donald is doing. He's messing with me. He sees that, I'm off kilter because I've got to raise this morning. Sandy is saying $300. I want to raise $600 this morning because I got to cover for all the days that I don't cover. So look, I know you guys can do it, man. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Let's shut up from wanting to see me on that hot plate dancing, right, Donald?
That's right. I'm gonna give. I always do, but I don't want no props. I like to stay anonymous.
All right, that's fine, brother. We love you however you come. Take care. We talk to you later, brother. Peace.
Later, yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to my brother, Jimmy. Jimmy, come on in.
Good morning, Egberto. How you doing?
I am doing fine. I want to start saying my sister something. All you guys keep calling. I love you. Keep calling. I want you to keep calling. But sisters, call as well. I want to hear your voice. All right, come on, Jimmy. What's up?
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching the Democratic Convention last night. They had a talk by Doug Emhoff. He is the husband of Kamala Harris.
Yes.
They met on a blind date, and he had a really, really funny, interesting talk. And they're going to celebrate their 10th wedding anniversary tomorrow. But and all he talked about how she is such a good mother to his children. It was just awesome. Also, they had a lady on there who used to work for Donald Trump. And she said that behind closed doors, Trump would mock his supporters by calling them basement dwellers.
Jimmy, hold on. Don't leave.
Yeah.
Since you brought it up, I am going to make your day. Stay on, because, folks, Jimmy just said something that I intended to play today, and I'm going to do it right now. I think I have it queued correctly. So, Jimmy, hold on, and you're going to hear it right now. Former press secretary to Donald Trump, Stephanie Grisham, she appeared at the Democratic National Convention, and she gave some tests. I mean, she's given it before, but being in the public like this, explosive testimony, she had a lot to say. I want you to listen to her speech, her short speech at the Democratic Convention, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I wasn't just a Trump supporter. I was a true believer. I was one of his closest advisors. The Trump family became my family. I spent Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all at Mar-a-Lago. I saw him when the cameras were off. Behind closed doors, Trump mocks his supporters. He calls them basement dwellers. On a hospital visit one time when people were dying in the ICU, he was mad that the cameras were not watching him. He has no empathy, no morals, and no fidelity to the truth. He used to tell me, "It doesn't matter what you say, Stephanie. Say it enough and people will believe you." But it does matter. What you says matter, and what you don't say matters. On January 6th, I asked Melania if we could at least tweet that while peaceful protest is the right of every American, there's no place for lawlessness or violence. She replied with one word, no. I became the first senior staffer to resign that day. I couldn't be part of the insanity any longer. When I was press secretary, I got skewered for never holding a White House briefing. It's because, unlike my boss, I never wanted to stand at that podium and lie. Now here I am, behind a podium, advocating for a Democrat. And that's because I love my country more than my party. Kamala Harris tells the truth. She respects the American people, and she has my vote. Thank you.
Now, we've been hearing all the immoral, negative things that Donald Trump has been saying. He's spoken about badly about our heroes who served in the military. He's spoken about just about everybody in a negative context whenever he feels challenged or whatever. This should be no surprise to anyone. The question is, knowing how Trump really feels about the people who supports him, knowing that this guy has had such a immoral upbringing, knowing that this guy has sexually abused women, this guy had fraudulent schools that ripped off people's money. He refused to pay people who's done work for him, people in the working class. Knowing all the things that he's done, he's stolen money from his own charity. Time and time again, it proves that he's a grifter. He proves that he's a criminal. He's a convicted felon. Yet there are those who will continuously support this person. The good thing about it is, as we're seeing these polls change, we're not looking at the absolute numbers of the polls, but as we see them change, I think people are starting to wake up. They're starting to wake up, and the sycophants will be left behind, but the landslide is on the way. Anyway, Jimmy, that is what I did last night for my one of my Substacks out there. So that's a woman you're speaking about, correct?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm glad you did that, and I am really enjoying watching this convention. There's laughs, there's cheers, there's all kind of good things going on. Last night, in addition to Doug Emhoff, there was Michelle Obama, who is one of the best, most positive speakers.
Oh, wow.
She could easily run for president herself and be elected. And then, of course, Barack Obama gives his usual good speech, too. Also, after that, Stephen Colbert's show is there at the convention, and he had Hillary Clinton on the other night, and then last night he had Nancy Pelosi on his show after the convention. So that's a good thing to watch after you're watching the convention. But tonight we're going to have Tim Wells, the vice presidential candidate, and Bill Clinton speaking tonight. So that'll be a good thing to watch also. And they have a good slogan. They say, "Yes, she can. Yes, she can." And they also say, if something's wrong, do something. There.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. But, sort of, I was there taping, and every now and then I miss something and I have to back it up and flip the tape stuff on. I say tape. I'm just old school. I mean screen grab. But, doing all of that last night, it was great, though. It was entertaining. It was fun. I have a whole lot more videos that I cut up for the 3:00 show, but we'll talk about it. I have another one to play later on today, but I need to go earn some money, my dear brother Jimmy. All right?
Okay, keep up the good work, Egberto, and I urge your audience to watch the Democratic Convention tonight.
Thank you. By the way, and also thank you for your contribution. Folks, we need to give Julia a call out, our first donor of the morning. We just need 10 more, guys. First donor of the morning. Thank you so kindly, Julia, she says. And you don't stop. I love all your programs. Thank you so kindly. We're going to hook Patrick up on line one. There you go, Patrick. You're on now.
Hey, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Hey, I'm glad I come on right before Brian. It's not addressed to him, but he might be able to answer it. 20 years ago, Fox made flip-flop amongst politicians a big deal. Like if they could change their mind, then they weren't credible, which I didn't think was good, because I think it's actually good when politicians do change their mind. But I'm curious about the type of responses, if you've talked to anybody about how if you push $45 million towards Donald Trump, all of a sudden electric cars are okay.
Yeah. I mean, that is amazing. And it's not for Donald Trump. It's not only flip-flopping on electric cars. It's flip-flopping on TikTok. It's flip-flopping on abortion. It's flip-flopping. You just, whatever you want to pay Donald Trump for, he'll flip-flop for you. The thing about it is, Michelle said something yesterday at the DNC that I'm going to put out there. I didn't cut it out yet, but I will. She points out that there are some people who have the privilege to do so. They have the privilege not to be judged. They have the privilege to fail forward. She said it so nicely that a lot of people likely missed it. So I'm going to replay I'm going to cut it and I'm going to expand on it because Michelle was so good yesterday in pointing, a corollary of what you just said. Trump has flip-flopped a lot. You don't hear the media talking about all his flip-flops, but they want to talk about Kamala and Medicare for all, Kamala and many other issues. The fact of the matter is, I don't care what Kamala has to say right now, as long as her heart is in the right place, because we are going for Medicare for all. We are going for the Green New Deal. We are going for all those other things. Anyway, Patrick, what else?
Well, yeah, Brian mentioned that she hasn't interviewed. I think it's an older interview. But I sent you an interview that she did with Mother Jones yesterday, and everything that she said during that interview. If that's the woman that we're electing, oh my goodness, this is the change that we needed. I titled it one of many interviews, and it's with Mother Jones, and the fact that she'll sit down with a magazine that appeals to folks with that type of politics is also encouraging as well.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Patrick. You're so right, because our politicians always think they have to bend over backward to not seem progressive. It's amazing. Most Americans want progressive values, but the people with the loud mouth are the people with the money. Why? Because they rip it off in general. I know a lot of people don't like me to say that, but it's the truth. We try to appease them. But anyway, Patrick, thank you very much, my friend. I got to get to Brian.
Watch that interview.
Anything else you want to say real quick?
No, just take time to watch that interview. It's a good one.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Let's go to brother Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everything going?
Oh, going fine. I need another few people to call in. 713-526-5738 extension number 1. But other than that, all's fine. Actually, I'm speaking to you, so all is fine. Talk to me.
Okay. If Kamala Harris is always the last person in the room when a decision is made, why doesn't she take responsibility for the economy that Biden has created?
First of all, again, like I said, you're trying to do things by a double standard. I told you that yesterday, Brian. Whenever something good happens, you don't want her to take credit for it. You said she was just the vice president. But when something that you don't like happens, she's the last one in the room. Well, being the last one in the room doesn't make you the one who makes the decision and have to say this is how it's going to be. That's my answer.
Okay. But that's not the answer.
What is the answer?
So again, she needs to take responsibility if she's the last person in the room.
Okay.
There were 13 U.S. service members that were killed.
Okay. And?
All right. All right. That's not important to you?
Wait a minute. Was it a war, sir?
No, that's a bad statement.
No, it was No, it's not a bad statement at all. When we go to war, people die. I have uncles that went to war that died for America. Okay, let's go a little bit further. The decisions that leaders make don't only occur in war. It also occur here in our country. Right, Brian? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with what you just said.
Okay, hold on. What statement? Wait. No, sir. Wait. You have to tell me. Let's be clear. What statement I made that was wrong?
Did people die in war? That is correct. But taking responsibility for it is also correct.
Okay,
you're blowing it off.
Wait a minute. No, okay, sir. In Vietnam, 66,000 or 56,000 people died in the Vietnam War. Who took credit for that? 58. Thank you, sir. Thank you for correcting me. I knew it was somewhere around there. Who took credit for that?
There was a lot of presidents that took not credit, the responsibility. It's not credit.
Who took responsibility for that? My bad choice. Wait. My bad choice of words, sir. Responsibility. You're correct. Now, who took responsibility?
I believe Johnson did, because he didn't run for president.
And who was Johnson's? Yes. Okay, who was Johnson's vice president?
Spiro Agnew, I believe.
No, that was Spiro Agnew was the Republican for a Republican vice president. I'm sorry, for Ford. What I'm trying to tell you is, notice what you just did there. You pointed out that all these people who took credit were presidents, but now you're asking Kamala to take responsibility for the 13 guys in Afghanistan. You see, that's a double standard. That's what I'm talking about. Did you ask any of the vice presidents who were under the Vietnam War to take credit, or did you ask the president to take responsibility?
I'm pretty sure they're all dead.
That's not what I'm asking, Brian. That's not what I'm asking you, Brian. I'm saying when you talk about all the presidents that take responsibility for any person who dies in war, you've not asked for Spiro Agnew, who was under Nixon and Ford, I believe. I think it was under Nixon. You didn't ask for, I don't remember who the vice president was under Johnson, but you want Kamala Harris to take responsibility for these 13 heroes who died in Afghanistan. It's a double standard, Brian.
No, it's not. When she comes up and says, I was the last person in the room.
Okay, so but she's not the person who makes a decision. She's the last person in the room. Why should she take take responsibility when she's not the one signing the decision?
You're going around and around and around.
No, sir. I'm just following your methodology. Agnew was Nixon. Hubert Humphrey was Johnson. Thank you very much, Howard. So it's important, Brian, that we are consistent. That's all I'm saying, brother. We got to be consistent and listen to Obama's, not President Obama, but Michelle Obama's speech. And you see the double standard that I talk about. She said it clearly in that speech. They are going to judge Kamala Harris by a different standard than they judge those other guys. Okay. But Brian, I got to go to Destiny. Did I give you enough time, Brian?
Yeah, today you did. Yeah, today you did. And thank you.
Thank you, brother. You have a great one. Okay. All right. Let's go to Destiny. Come on in, Destiny.
Hey, I just wanted to say, hope everyone's having a good morning, and that I went ahead and I donated and I signed up for the sustainer of $10 per month.
Thank you so kindly, Destiny. Did you just do that or just now or what?
I did it like 12 minutes ago.
Great. It should show up on my screen in a little bit. Thank you so kindly, Destiny. Love you, girl. And you spread the word about KPFT, okay?
All right. Bye.
Anything else you want to say?
Nope. I'm just here listening. I'm just kind of new to getting back into politics, so I'm absorbing what each side is talking about, and I'm just kind of, formulating my own opinions from there.
Excellent. Well, look, anytime you have questions or whatever, or even if you want to call me out or whatever, please feel free. Give us a call. This is the environment that we want to have, where you feel free to say whatever the hell you want to say. All right, Destiny?
All right, will do.
Thank you, sis. Have a great day. All right, let's go to James. Come on in, James.
Good morning. I'm so glad you put me on the air. I love the show because it's almost like a civics course where we really get to understand exactly what our role is in the government. And you say this all the time, Egberto. The government is we, the people. So I appreciate that. I want to respond to Brian, who's very typical in what Trump supporters are at right now because they can't keep their head in line. You notice he starts the call off with talking about the economy. And it's so funny because I talk with my conservative friends. They all seem to think that the president has a knob that controls whether or not the economy does good or not. What they don't consider the fact is that the real reason why inflation was as high as it was had to do with the price of oil, and it had to do with COVID. And those policies is not something that President Biden or now President or Vice President Kamala Harris evidently has the authority to really fix that. And if you want to talk about where the economy is at right now, inflation is lower than it's been in forever. It was up to, I believe, over 9% back just a few years ago, and now it's down to 2.9. Unemployment is at record lows. Meanwhile, CEO salaries, corporate owners of big business and corporations, their salaries have increased almost by thousands of percent. It's really, and then after he goes from talking about the economy, then he wants to go talk about war. It's the same flip flop. If if I can't win on one argument, I'm going to bring up something completely irrelevant. My dad used to say words mean things, and they do. And you hear this all the time. When conservatives seem to be losing on an argument, they want to immediately tiptoe to something completely different, whether or not it's the fact that Kamala is a communist or that Democrats are Satanists and we want to turn your kids gay. And that's what they do because they don't really have a solid policy to stand on. I wish he would have cut off Brian sooner because he has no idea where he's at in reality. That's what I have to say about that.
James, thank you very much for your call. Let me just tell you that I appreciate your kudos about it being civics. We stopped teaching civics in school a long time here in America. And as an immigrant and naturalized American citizens, I know the importance in knowing how the system works. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that have no interest but want to have a big voice. So look, you need a big voice because again, you follow what's out there. So thank you so kindly, James, for your call.
I would like to say that I am a sustaining donor, and my sustaining donation has already paid for itself because last Friday, KPFT kindly gave me tickets to see The Roots.
Yay!
And it was such a treat, so much talent. Bun B came out and did a song, which was so lucky. And I also want to personally shout out Robin at KPFT because she called me multiple times personally to make sure that I received the gift that KPFT so generously gave to me. So if that doesn't convince you to donate, I don't know what else will. I appreciate what y'all do there.
I appreciate you, James. I really do. Folks, thank you, James. You have a wonderful rest of your day. You heard what James said? It's good to come to us. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Folks, it's 7 o'clock. Therefore, I've got to say this is KPFT Houston. Oliver, line number 1. Come on in, Oliver. How you doing today, my brother?
Hey, good morning, Egberto. You have to be a little sympathetic to your caller who wants to blame the vice president for what's happening because we had a vice president, Dick Cheney. Secondly,
you know what? It's so interesting. Even as we had a vice president Cheney that was pretty much Bush's head, Bush still made the decision. And do you notice that we still? I don't know. I don't know if you hear differently than I do. But you still hear the blame going on to Bush. You don't hear it going on to Cheney. Do you hear otherwise, Oliver?
Well, among ourselves, we know who to blame for that one. But it goes to the guy that's up. Secondly, after the interview with Elon Musk, why isn't or have people been asking if the former president Donald Trump, is he recovering from having suffered a stroke? I've had elder relatives. I would really like to.
You know, again, I am going to go right back to Michelle Obama's speech. Some people have the privilege to make certain mistakes and some don't. You know, no matter what,
others are not old.
I know, but here's the thing, Oliver. Think about it. Think about this. I want you to think about something, Oliver. Think about President Biden. Biden is a working class guy, right? He's been in politics all his life, but he came from Scranton, PA. He was never a millionaire and all of that until later on when he could kind of leverage some of his presidency. But he is basically still a working class guy. He doesn't have the blue blood pedigree, right? And there's something that gives him less than. They treat him less than. You know, when he said a couple of days ago, the press doesn't like me. I mean, he suffers from that also lack of a level of privilege than Trump. And of course, Kamala has a lesser privilege than Biden. I mean, the class race system in this country means some have to work to overcome those things, if you will. You don't use it as a crutch, but you got to work to overcome it.
Someone said recently, I listening to the radio, that everything about former President Donald Trump is what white working class people were despising a person, and now they're supporting him.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. I think there's
some of that people would. I asked my mother. My mother voted Republican, and she does support Republican. I asked her, if I grew up to be like him, how would you feel about that? She had no answer for me.
That was a perfect question for your mother. I ask a lot of my MAGA supporters, and I have a lot on my 3 o'clock show that are there every day. And some of them have kids. And I ask them, how do you talk to your daughter after voting for Trump? Or how do you tell your daughter that you're going to vote for Trump? That is equivalent to saying, I am voting for the guy who will grab on you, who would rape you, who would do these things, but it's okay. How do you tell your son to be a good person if your son knows you revere or respect a guy like Trump and will vote for him? How can you do that and tell your son not to? And again, they have to live with themselves because, they've lost their moral compass at that point. Welcome aboard, Billy, Allison, Aaron, and Eric Hayes. They have to live with themselves.
My mom is listening to some of the policies that the Vice President Kamala Harris is putting forward, and she's already asking me to take care of all of those changes, to roll with the good changes that are coming. But some persons have their hand in that bucket, and it's hard to get out. But let's hope we to vote correct.
Let me tell you, I put myself on a limb, Oliver. I think this election is going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a close election, and I think Kamala is going to win it big. I just think there's a certain amount of waking up that America is starting to do. Let's see if 11 weeks is fast enough, but we'll see.
We don't have to overdo it, but some people are cynicism to make it dull in her glow. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Oliver. I got to go to Tag, and then I got to do my last pitch. Come on in, Tag.
Hey, Egberto, I was listening to Brian speak earlier on your show there.
Yes, sir.
And he went back to our 13 service members that died when we were withdrawing from Afghanistan. And it's recently come to my attention that some other people don't take credit for what they do either. And I refer to the guy who released 5,000 Taliban terrorists through the Doha Agreement, which ended up, causing the problem at the airport because of these 5,000 terrorists that were let loose. And Trump, none of these right wingers want to take credit for what Trump did to allow this to happen. And he took no effort to, get us in a position to withdraw from Afghanistan, dump that in Biden's lap. So I think that Brian should take a little better look at what's happened and let him expect Trump to take some credit for some of these things that have happened,
Well, it's interesting that you're right about that, Tag, but let me tell you, it goes even deeper than that, right? Think about this. Trump tried to, just like Reagan tried to ignore AIDS, Trump tried to ignore COVID. And in the process, he is responsible for not 13 deaths, but hundreds of thousands of deaths because of his approach to COVID, because of his lies about COVID, because of him not taking responsibility for COVID like Obama did for several pandemics that could have arisen during his time. So that is something that you nailed, and you nailed perfectly, my brother. The thing about it is
a quick word on that. By the way, Detroit was like the number 2 place where COVID popped up because of the airport, people coming in from overseas. And when Whitmer, our governor, asked for the PPE, Trump said no because she's a nasty woman. He refused to send us what we needed to help stop COVID from spreading. And he sent it to Florida, and they didn't even have a problem down there. And that's really gotten under my skin. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it is. There are so many things that are inconsistent, and the worst part about it. Welcome aboard, Allison Dreams. The worst thing about it is that the way it's covered, the way people vote, is based on how a lot of media coverage. We get the media coverage. One of the reasons I try to put a lot of what I do, not only on the radio, but on the internet and in blogs and articles and all, is that we have to spread this stuff out ourselves because the mainstream media, like I said, there are different levels of privilege in this country. If we were to judge Donald Trump the way others are judged who have done less than what he has, Donald Trump would not stand a chance as president. Donald Trump would be locked up in jail a long time ago. But, again, we don't live in that world. Thank you very much, Tag. Yeah, democracy is pretty cool. And, we need to that is why we need to keep it. But anyway, folks, look, every day or every month, most of us get something called a cable bill. And that cable bill costs $100, some people $200. I have a friend who spent over $300 a month for cable bill. He has everything, the sports, every single piece he has, right? And that, so you're paying a lot of money for, people to give you news, people to give you all kind of things, including ill-informing you many a times. You have Fox, you're paying for Fox News when you buy cable. And Fox News lie to you. You're paying for OEN. They're lying to you. You are paying for Newsmax. They're lying to you. And there are a lot of stations that are doing that, but you're paying for them. We try to do our part. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what James said when he called what we do here as civic lessons, because that warms the heart in knowing that most high schools or schools no longer give civics. So most Americans don't really know what it is to be an American, the value of work, the value of being politically engaged, all these things that you used to learn in civics. So if somebody tells me I'm like a civics class, I say, thank you so kindly. Thank you for that honor. Because we need to be politically engaged. But you know what we also need? We need to have the platforms to do so. And what we're asking you for is you are supporting platforms right now that you're paying for them to send you commercials. You're paying for them to send you ill information, misinformation. You're paying for them to, give you some news as well. When you come here and you contribute, you're not only paying for some good damn music out there that, a lot of folks play from Sandy to Howard. All these folks have times they spin the wheel and play some good stuff for you. But we also have these educational programs, these civic programs, these political programs of substance. And we are saying, look, we know that you have the disposable income to get an expensive cable bill or whatever. And we know that if you met me on the outside, you'll say, hey, I'll give you a coffee. That's not a problem. So I ask you to call 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpf.org. Click the donate button, select Politics Done Right from the drop down, or when you call, remember Selams for Politics Done Right, and contribute to the program and do so and do so to support what we're doing, because it has value. It has value. And even for those who are not contributing, your contribution is helping others to make the right choices. Because if others who can't contribute are listening to what we're doing here and it's making a difference, then you are instrumental in changing or making democracy more democratic. So I ask again kindly, 713-526-5738. Consider $5 a month. Consider $10 a month. Consider $15 a month. Consider giving whatever you can. I'm going off in 30 seconds. I'm leaving here in 30 seconds. I still haven't met my goal for the morning. So I ask you kindly, go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting, and please support the program however you can, or call 713-526-5738, extension 1, support Politics Done Right for KPFT.
I'm a lifelong Republican. So I feel a little out of place tonight, but I feel more at home here than in today's Republican Party. The grand old party has been kidnapped by extremists and devolved into a cult, the cult of Donald Trump. Trump doesn't know the first thing about public service. Like a child, he acts purely out of self-interest. We all need an adult in the White House, and we've seen what happens when we don't have one. Trump made a lot of lofty promises: unlimited economic growth, American manufacturing reborn, a secure border. Turns out Donald Trump was all talk. He wanted our votes, but he couldn't deliver a thing. But these days, my city of Mesa, Arizona is on the move. I'm going to ribbon cuttings every single week, all because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reached across the aisle and they delivered for my conservative community and countless more across the country. My hero, John McCain, taught us to put country over party. And that's how Vice President Harris and Governor Walz will lead too. I have an urgent message for the majority of Americans who, like me, are in the political middle. John McCain's Republican Party is gone, and we don't owe a damn thing to what's been left behind. So let's turn the page. Let's put country first. Let's put adults in the room where our country deserves. Thank you.
I got to get out of here. I love you all. Love you callers. Love you donors. Love you supporters. My name is Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.